All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in to another edition of On the Air with Eric Thompson. We're here in Studio 4, overlooking the Arts and Entertainment District of downtown Conroe, Texas. I've got the shades drawn because it's just too hot out there, so we're just trying to keep it cool in here under these lights. Today, we have quite possibly, I've had some cool guests. One of the things I've had the benefit of is having some really cool guests on my show, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that he's really humble about it, really probably the most educated guy I've had on my show. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. But he's an interesting cat. So I did a little research before, and I'm just going to go out on here. This guy, he is a farmer. Yeah, a farmer, man. Do you know we even really still had those? We don't know where that stuff came from, but somebody else out there actually grows this stuff. He's a farmer. He is a beekeeper. And he's a big shot, and we're going to find out what he does. Something down at Sam Houston State University. It's kind of way over my pay grade to understand it, but we're going to find out a little bit about that. And then if that's not enough to keep this cat busy, he now is running for the Montgomery ISD Position 6 School Board. Man, I'm just happy to have him in the studio. Matt Fuller. Hey, buddy, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So here's the thing. This is kind of cool. I do a little bit of research, so I have something to ask when people come on the show. And you seem like about 3 different people. I was like, what is it? Because I literally, hey, this is no kidding. I literally had to look because I was going, is this the same Matt Fuller?
Yeah. So, well, you actually missed 2 really important roles. I'm a father and a husband as well. So
absolutely.
All those other things are pretty cool. I love doing them, but those are the 2 biggest things that I've done with my life: is be a dad and a good husband.
Well, man, I appreciate you rounding out the list, and I can say those were the big ones on there. This take the day-to-day maintenance of just being that guy. So look, you have kids, yeah, big kids, little kids. 2
little boys. We have a 4th grader and a 2nd grader in the Montgomery School District.
Right on. So we'll get to the school board thing, but you've got some vested interest in the whole the outcome of what's happening.
Yeah, I do, and we've got great schools out there, and I love what they do for our kids, and I just want to say that the teachers out there are doing great things for my family. So thank you.
Sure. Okay, so I'm just going to hop into the stuff, and here's the thing: this is an open format. I go all over the place. I'll swerve. Who knows, man?
I like it. That's like me.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm cruising down a dirt road, and pretty soon I'm mowing corn. Don't worry, it happens, right? So here's the deal. You're a farmer.
Yeah.
So tell me about, how does one become a farmer these days? Tell me about that and how that happened.
Well, I think you really should think maybe, how did I become an educator? Because I've always had farming in my soul, so to speak. My family's been involved in agriculture for a number of decades. We're an 8th generation Texas family. My family, I grew up in Sealy, Texas, and my family, their base is around Weimar, Columbus area, kind of in that neck of the woods. And so we've always kind of had our hands in the dirt, always had our hands on a cow, doing some hay, doing pecans, doing things that we can out of our little farm in Weimar. And we've just kind of kept it going and just added stuff to that. That's really kind of what drives me and keeps me going. I love doing it. I get to teach kids every day about agriculture, which we've got to remember where we came from.
Sure.
And our agrarian roots are really important as a society. So
hey, so that's pretty neat. 8 generations. That is you've been here a minute.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So is your farm, is that out of Montgomery?
So we have a small farm in Montgomery, got 9 acres there. That's where we do mostly our fresh produce. We've got a pretty beautiful setup for that. All organic. We grow some really unique things, as well as your standard stuff. And we also do honeybees out there. We were featured on Texas Country Reporter last year for the work we do with honeybees. Not just raising them, but we also do honeybee removals. And then I try to teach kids about honeybees.
Okay. Hang on. Okay. You're glossing over way too much good stuff here.
Okay.
So in addition to being farmers, so you have honeybees, and I like honey. I actually like mead too, as kind of a kind of a.
I got some mead brewing right now in my closet right now. So.
Okay, so that's if you look across the studio there, you'll see that's some banana wine over there.
Right, I see it. I see it.
5-gallon bucket of it. I still have to rack a time or two.
I kind of have the same setup. I like it.
Gotcha. Pretty down to earth.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is fun. Who knew?
Yeah.
So you got bees, man. So I've always kind of been interested in the whole concept of bees, but there's like some prohibitive stuff that kind of keeps you on the outside looking in. Tell me about how you actually dive into getting bees.
Well, Texas does a lot of things very well when it comes to our politics, and one of them that they do very well, in my opinion, is the agriculture exemption, ag valuation for property owners that do agriculture. So originally I got started because, after a few years, they're going to give you a little tax abatement, right? But from there, I mean, it just grew on me. I was doing it every chance I got out there, and I just decided, this is something that's a little bit more than a hobby. It feels a little bit more than a hobby to me, and I just kept growing it and growing it. After a couple of years, we've got some great mentors here and great people in the Montgomery County Beekeepers Association, and I want to give them a shout out. There's usually over 200 people at the Ag Life Center over here by the airport meeting once a month, and they've taught me everything that I know about beekeeping. It's not like you just wake up one morning and you know everything about beekeeping, right? So you got to learn from people, and there's some great mentors over there. So if anybody's looking into doing that, I highly recommend mocobees.com. They're a great organization. But from there, I jumped off and I started doing bee removals, and so that's like when you get in somebody's house or a tree or something.
Okay, I have got a couple questions. So,
all right, shoot.
When you first got into beekeeping, I mean, was a wife pretty okay with it, or was she on board, or was she thinking you maybe lost your mind?
So like you said, there's a couple of things that make you kind of think like, am I okay? Am I when you first get into it? And she kind of had a few questions, especially since I'm mildly allergic to bees. I get a skin allergen from even just one sting. It's gotten better over time, but she was like, "Man, you are crazy.
Yeah, okay.
You are nuts if you think you're going to do this." So. But she's been really supportive. She's actually more recently gotten into making other products like lip balms and lotions and stuff from the wax. So she's really cool. She's really good with that. But yeah, at first she was like, "Yeah, I don't know. My mom's allergic. The kids, watch out." But she got it. She's finally come around to it. So
what was it like the very first time you harvested some honey? I mean, how'd that go?
Can I take it one step back?
Yeah, sure.
Most beekeepers, they have to buy their bees, and so that's a cost prohibitive little thing. And I made a promise to my wife I'm going to try to limit my costs, and so I captured my first beehive. And so what was it like that first time I captured this huge beehive, which is about half as big as this table? Yeah, I captured. It's not like you can capture 20,000 little things that want to sting you and kill you, but it was an adrenaline rush. And I mean, even still, I get around some bees and I'm like, this is probably the most adrenaline I need to experience right now. So
sure.
It's fun. They actually, what I would tell people is they don't really want to hurt you. They really just, if you leave them alone and you treat them slow, calm, respectfully, they're going to leave you alone. In fact, now many days I don't even wear a lot of protective clothing. They just know me that well, and I'm pretty slow and calm, and
okay.
You're surprised by that.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I'm thinking like, yeah,
I would be triple layered up, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, when I go in and get the honey, I do wear a lot of protective clothing that way, but at that time, they're a little mad when you do that. But
sure.
Of course, if I came in and stole your mead and your wine, you'd be mad too.
Sure. It's work. Life work at that point.
Yeah. So it's been really fun. I've gotten to meet some amazing people and do some pretty amazing things all through little honeybees. So.
Cool. That's what a great story.
Yeah.
I love honey, and I think let's talk about a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
They make honey and we love it. It seems to work out.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so that is an interesting hobby that has a heck of an upshot anyway. So that's awesome. So tell me a bit now. farming. What types? You say you grow kind of what's seasonal? What's happening out there?
Well, certainly we do a lot of seasonal work. So right now, we've got a lot of lettuce, got a lot of leafy greens, stuff like that. And we try to get them out to local restaurants here. Again, we're all organic, which means I spend a lot of time with my kids in the garden picking weeds.
Sure.
And
wow.
So, right now it's just the perfect season for what we're growing. Everything's coming into bloom, and everything's growing and growing and going.
Exciting time. Well, springtime is a good time to be on the farm. Huh?
Yeah, it is. We've got a little bit of everything. I think the last count we have over 64 varieties of different veggies. We grow a lot of specialty varieties that you just can't get anywhere. So we've got about, I think, 16 varieties of tomatoes.
Okay, cool.
A bunch of different corn varieties, things like that. So I try to, offer a little bit to everybody.
Hey, that is really, really neat. Kind of, just true when you use the word niche. That's like niche veggies.
Yeah. So in Montgomery, there are particular families that ask me to grow just this one thing. In particular, a lot of Italian families have certain kinds of radicchio and certain kinds of things they want. And so I grow it just for them, just to make sure, I can give them a little connection with their roots or something like that.
That's
so
great.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just going to guess that you guys probably enjoy all the fruits of your labor out there, huh?
I do shave a little bit off for myself every once in a while, So,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's not so many people that are, there's a certain amount of self-sufficiency that probably has to be, I don't know, it has to feel really good.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. I had a neighbor come to me the other day and say, hey, you need to, you need to mow your lawn. And I said, well, man, I'm letting the flowers grow for the bees. We're cool. Just give it a few more weeks. And he said, man, I'm gonna have my lawn crew come over and mow it. And I said, no, man, if I need a lawn crew, then I'm doing too much, right? If I can't sustain it myself, I'm doing too much. So he kind of cut me some slack after that. But I do little things like that. I let dandelions grow in the field for my bees. I let wildflowers grow and reap the benefits of it later. So
I'm going to take a swerve here. A long time ago, I spent a spring and early summer in Kosovo in Eastern Europe, and what you're telling me kind of has that very much that old world kind of, there's a reason, and you kind of dance with the seasons, and you eat what's going, and there's a reason for the flowers and the times, and they didn't cut their yard because they wanted to look right. They cut it when they're making enough food for the animals. So
right.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, Matt. So this all just sort of came natural. This wasn't like some late life sort of stuff. You kind of had this connection to farming and Mother Earth for a minute.
Yeah, actually, I would say, if I look for an old world soul in my family, it would be both my grandmothers who kind of taught me a lot of these things. And so, and of course, my dad and I have a lot of similarities. My dad was an educator. He's retired. But he was an educator as well as he kind of kept always, pigs and cows and chickens and stuff around. And he still manages our larger farm out in Weimar along with my uncle. So they still work it out.
So I actually used to raise some hogs way back in the day.
Yeah.
Duroc hogs. Yeah, I used to do some swine judging and those types of things. So that was always kind of...
Well, I'll tell you one little thing that we don't do. It's kind of like out of Lonesome Dove. We don't raise hogs. We don't raise pigs. I grew up on a pig farm. My dad always had pigs. Loved the pork chops.
Yeah.
But man, when the wind changed, the smell came at you, and so we haven't taken on pigs just yet at our place.
Yeah, I don't even blame you. And that was I had one, maybe two hogs at a time.
Yeah.
And that was in the warm months. I got to do something else. So yeah, I don't blame you. So you were talking about your dad. He's retired now.
Yeah.
He was an educator.
Yeah.
So kind of in following your father's footsteps, you've been kept in kind of tune with the ag thing, and so let's talk a little bit about you work at Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What do you do there?
Well, so I'm a professor in educational leadership, and I direct our doctoral program in higher education leadership. So I have a background in higher education administration. I've worked at a couple of universities, worked at A&M, had some time at University of Alaska Southeast, and had some time at Illinois State before I landed at Sam Houston. And so I've just enjoyed Sam Houston. It's been a great school. I get to do a lot of neat stuff, not the least of which is teaching young people and helping them kind of get their start in life. And so, my research is pretty neat. They've always supported me in all the research I do, but we can get to that later, I guess.
Yeah. So we don't have to keep it in order, man. We don't So you're a smart guy, and I think some of my listeners may be wondering, what does that exactly mean? So you basically teach people who are already really smart how to do it better. Am I tracking?
Pretty close. Certainly, I'm very blessed to have great students who are indeed already working. Many of them in the education sector. So I teach folks that end up becoming school or university leaders, particularly university leaders, and I focus in areas of law. I focus in finance and accountability kinds of areas. And more recently, I've added the area of safety, school and university safety, and that's a very hot topic that to be honest, after Sandy Hook happened, I sat down and said, you know what, Sam Houston has a great education program. We have a great criminal justice program. We ought to be doing something to help with this safety concerns that we're seeing now, and we've grown it ever since. I'm very blessed in that regard. I get to be at a very critical juncture in many people's lives and help them out. That's what service is all about.
You make that sound like it is a labor of love. I mean, even the words that you chose to describe that sounds like you're the one getting the best end of the deal.
They teach me more than I teach them. I guarantee you that. We have mostly working professionals in our program, so all of my colleagues work late nights, and we all teach night classes on top of various sorts of administrative service that we have to do. And so any professor that puts that works on with kids is putting a lot of their heart and soul into the next generation, and every educator's that way.
So you had mentioned law, and you had mentioned and then I think it was like it was a very fancy term, but it was like administration or something.
Finance and kind of accountability areas. Assessment and accountability. Right. Big A word.
And then you were talking about safety. So that's kind of all encompassing. So and you've had the opportunity, you said, to work at A&M. You've worked in Illinois and also in Alaska. Yeah. What was Alaska like? Just curious.
I'll tell you what, I had the best job. I was 23, and I worked in residence life. Had a short time there at the University of Alaska, starting out as an intern for their summer housing program. And it was an amazing job. They gave me a little gas card and a Ford Excursion and said, we need you to get kids to and from the woods to the university, or we need you to handle this conference that's coming in and deal with that. I got to see Alaska at a very important time in my life, and I keep joking with my wife, so if that job ever comes open again, I'm going to take it. But it's beautiful up there. I just couldn't deal with the winters. The winters were a little brutal. So
I can imagine.
But we landed after that. We came back to A&M for a little while, and then my wife and I landed in Illinois, where she's originally from. And I think the summers in Alaska are great. The summers in Illinois were great, but the winters in Illinois were tougher than the Chicago, Illinois, windy city. Oh, it was. I'm getting cold just sitting here thinking about it.
Yeah. Probably coming from Texas, that leaves a serious imprint on one's mind.
It does. We have family. My wife's family's from Illinois, so I joked with him. I was like, I don't know how you guys deal with this, because this is crazy. So,
came back, found your senses, came back down Southland.
My first winter up there, I didn't have a thick coat. I didn't have a snow shovel. I didn't have anything, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go out there and handle this snow. Y'all watch. And I didn't do too good.
Learning curve. Okay, so this is interesting stuff. So Now this brings you up to, and as you as I laid out all the fancy stuff that I could say about you, and you correctly corrected me that there was a couple of positions that I left out, and you talked about father and family. And
that's where we started our families in Illinois. So
right on. Cool weather. And then you talked about your kids are in second and fourth grade?
Second and fourth grade, yes, sir.
All right. And they go to Montgomery?
Lincoln Elementary in the Montgomery School District.
So, had you always thought now, okay, we're now coming up to the point where one day you said, as if I've got too much spare time on my hands, you said, babe, you know what I think I'm going to do? And kind of start from there. How does that work?
Well, I said, honey, I think I can have a few ideas about how we can help our schools. And I've certainly been asked by folks in Austin, what can we do better to support our schools? So I said, honey, I think I can lend a hand. And, it comes down to this. My kids tell me that, they've got things they want to see in our schools, and they've got services they want out of our schools. And I said, listen, if I can help, if I have the means and the capacity to help, but I don't, then I'm not being the kind of father I hope to be for them in the long run. And so, it took me a couple of years to think through discerning whether or not I wanted to do a campaign for school board, But we finally got around to it, had some great mentors, have a lot of people supporting me, and I said, this is something I can do to lend a hand.
So has civics been something like has running for an office been something that was on your mind for a long time in your life, or?
No, I wouldn't say so, Eric, to be honest. It's not something that if you'd asked me even 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say, oh yeah, I'm going to run for a campaign, But I will say that if nothing else comes out of this campaign, one of the best things that's happened is I've gotten to meet a lot of amazing students from Montgomery that I otherwise would not have met, and a lot of amazing families. And, we've got something really special out there in Montgomery. Sure. And the whole town, the town's growing, but we're still keeping our kind of small town feel, especially right there in the historic district. And kids are doing some amazing things. I mean, I look back at it and think about the things I'm seeing our kids doing in the Montgomery School District and think, man, I didn't have that opportunity just even at my age, and I'm just so proud of them. I can't say enough good things about what I'm seeing from our students, and behind all of those students are some amazing teachers that are helping them get there.
So now I've heard you say the C word a few times, campaign. And so is this your first run at a public office?
Well, does running for high school class president count? So no, this is my first public campaign.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm genuinely curious. How does one start to put that together, and what's it been like? And I don't know, what's that process?
Well, the first thing you do is certainly talk to your people. Mm-hmm. And so I have what I call my circle of 7, and I do this with beyond a campaign. Okay, I just do this in life in general. I've got 7 families, some of them here in Montgomery, some of them here, in Texas, some of them up in Illinois. And, I just ask them like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And so you got to have your people with you that support you. Mm-hmm. And so they're my circle of 7. If, all hell broke loose and I had to go, something bad happened, they would be right there for my family. And as long as I'm good with them, we're good. So you certainly got to start asking them. But the next thing, you've got to get people that care about the issues as well. And so we've got a great team that came together to started the past 2 years or so have been really talking to me about Montgomery ISD's future and the town of Montgomery's future. And you kind of got to listen to folks and just be genuine and say, listen, I'm not on the board yet, but if I am, I'm going to hear that concern out and take it forward, and I'm going to ask questions. And I think that's what most people want from public servants today is to be heard and to ask questions. Not everything is going to go everybody's way, but I think they want to at least be heard and know that someone's got their back. So from there, you've got to start doing a little fundraising, which I am not good at. We've got great people supporting us, but it's really tough for me to ask people for money.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends who are contributing their hard-earned cash a little bit here and there and helping out in that regard. So we're very well financed for what I think we need to do for the next couple of months.
Good.
Or weeks, and go from there.
So, what is today's day? We're on the 8th. It's the 8th?
8th of April, yeah.
So the production date is the 8th. You guys are probably catching this on YouTube a few days now, so it's probably the 10th or 11th by the time you're seeing this. But as far as upcoming days and dates, so there is, first of all, if someone out there says, hey, I like this beekeeping, farming type academic sort of dude who's running for position 6 at the school board, and they wanted to assist you, donate to you, where would they find you to let you know the good news? Well,
so certainly we have a website, www.fuller4misd.com, and also our email, fuller4misd@gmail.com. And, you can reach out to me, and not just finances support, but certainly prayers, that helps. And secondly, just talking about issues. I'd love to hear anyone's issues or concerns or ideas, or the great things that we're doing in Montgomery ISD. I want to hear about those as well, and so that we can keep those going.
So, and while we're in the paying the bills kind of mood, hey, if you enjoyed this kind of programming while we're digging this guy, don't forget about me. Be sure to press a like and a subscribe, hit the bell, join the club. It'll be fun. We'll keep you in tune. But anyway, back to this. So now we've got to the point where we're doing some fundraising. We're going to get some people just to let you know what their concerns are. So let's keep people who are in the Montgomery ISD kind of in the loop. The early voting. If somebody wanted to go out there and say, hey, I am a Matt Fuller voter, what's the soonest they could go out and do that?
Well, certainly they could do through mail-in votes if they're on that list already. It's already happening right now. I'm getting a few people saying, hey, I voted for you today, and I'm like, what? Did I miss something? No, it's mail-in votes. But so April 22nd through April 30th is early voting, and in the Montgomery area, that's at the Lone Star Community Center. And then election day is May 4th, and that's at the assigned polling place.
Gotcha.
So there's 8 of those across Montgomery.
So really quick, early voting, go back to that one?
April 22nd through the 30th.
Okay, so if you missed the mail thing, but you wanted to get involved early and missed the melee at your polls, you can go the sometime to the sometime?
April 22nd through the 30th.
Absolutely. And when they see the number 6 spot there, is supposed to say what?
I'll be at the bottom of the list, and choose Matt Fuller, please.
There you go, Matt Fuller down at the bottom of the list. You can just skip the rest, go down to the number 6 spot. All right, so this is exciting. So I'll be watching from a distance and seeing how you do. And so Matt, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been a cool chance to talk with you.
I appreciate you.
Okay, really quick, before I send you out of here, I got a couple of questions.
All right, lay it on me.
So what happens between now? You're coming down to the wire. You already got people mailing in votes. You're kind of doing the last minute press. Hey, and thanks for coming by on the air with Eric Thompson. I really do. I genuinely appreciate it.
Appreciate you too, Eric.
So what happens between now and then? What's your life like on the campaign trail?
Well, I'll tell you that we've got a lot of meetings going on. So I'm meeting with everybody that I can, and I'm just going out meeting as many people as possible, walking neighborhoods, just being out and about. So if you see our shirts, the little red and white apple shirts here, stop by and see us and ask questions. So pretty much every day from here on out, we're talking to somebody, and then after that, we're going to be manning stations at the polling locations, and we'll be there every day. So stop by and see us as you're walking in to cast your vote.
All right. Hey, again, Matt, really, I genuinely appreciate you being on the show. And go out. Don't forget to early vote. But if you miss that, make sure you make it to the polls. Vote Matt Fuller, Montgomery ISD, position 6. Thanks again for tuning in to On the Air with Eric Thompson. As always, we appreciate you. If you've made it this far into the program, thanks, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. I'll see you around. Appreciate you.